Hi, my name is Jennifer. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to a book haul. So today I have a book haul of 17 second-hand books. So these are the books I have acquired over the last few months. A load of these I have bought in charity shops, and then there's also a load that I have received in my monthly book subscription box that I get. Those are all second-hand books as well. But first, my girlfriend's mum was getting rid of some books. So very excitingly, I have got 3 Daphne du Mauriers. First, most exciting, is My Cousin Rachel, which is honestly one of my favourite books of all time. I love My Cousin Rachel. It's my favourite Daphne du Maurier. But I didn't own a copy until now. Then I have Jamaica Inn. So I have read Jamaica Inn before, probably 25 years ago. I do remember that Jamaica Inn was not one of my favourite books by Daphne du Maurier. I think mainly because there's a lot of like smuggling and stuff in here, so it has that sort of actiony element, which is not usually my favourite thing. But I will be reading this again next year because the FOMO book club, hosted by Alice and the Giant Bookshelf, Gem of Books and Spread Bookjoy, are going to be reading Jamaica Inn in January and February, I think. So I will join in with that. And then the final du Maurier is Frenchman's Creek, which I don't think I have ever read before, which seems odd. But I think in my mind I've assumed that Frenchman's Creek is going to be similar to Jamaica Inn, in that I think this has like, I don't know, smuggling type stuff. So a bit of an actiony element, which has maybe put me off in the past. But I will give this a go at some point. Okay, now on to all the charity shop books that I have bought recently. So first is Cinderella Goes to the Morgue by Nancy Spain. The reason I got this was the title and also the cover. So this is a murder mystery, which I think is meant to be kind of funny as well. And it also says it's festive. So I'll save this for December. I didn't realise that. That's good. So I think there's a play being put on. Prince Charming is murdered. And then these 2 amateur sleuths, these 2 women, are trying to solve the case. And it sounds like people are dying one by one, and they have to try to discover the murderer before the final curtain falls. So this, I think, will go on my December TBR. And this has an introduction by Sandy Toksvig, who I quite like, and that also sort of made me think I might want to read it. Next is Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. This is a very nice copy. So this is a gay romance. I think it has the fake dating trope. I've heard good things about it. This, I think it's a US copy because it only has the price in US dollars. So I don't know how this copy ended up in a charity shop literally around the corner from where I live. But I was very, very pleased to find it there. Next is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. So this, I think, is like a YA thriller. I've heard good things about it. So the main character is called Avery, and when an eccentric billionaire dies, he leaves her almost his entire fortune, and no one, including Avery, knows why. So she moves into the mansion that she's inherited, filled with secrets and codes, and the old man's relatives are hell-bent on discovering why Avery got their money. So it sounds pretty good. Sounds like the kind of thing I like. I think it is the first in a series, which I don't really like series. I'm hoping I can just sort of read it as a standalone. Okay, so the next 3 books. So my general philosophy when I buy second-hand books is that if I can get it in the library, I'll get it in the library. So I do, when I'm in charity shops, I do like look at the library catalogue online. Sometimes I'll know if there's a book that I want to read and I know it's not in the library, then, you know, I'll just get it. But if I see something that I haven't heard of, maybe I think it sounds interesting, I'll have a look, and if it's in the library, I'll just get it out of the library. Which makes me sound like a total skinflint, but I'm not. I read a lot of books, so I just need to, and also space is limited, so I don't want to be bringing in loads of books if I can just get them out of the library. Anyway, However, I break my own rule if there's a book that I absolutely love, so a book I've read before, I know I love it, and I'd like to have my own copy. So that is the case for the next 3 books. So first is Before the Fact by Frances Iles, which is a pen name of Anthony Berkeley Cox, who under Anthony Berkeley wrote a lot of Golden Age crime fiction, which I really enjoy. Before the Fact is sort of a noir thriller, which inspired the Hitchcock film Suspicion. So I have read this before, I've seen the film, and I think it's an excellent book, so I was quite pleased to find this rather nice copy. Next, we have an excellent edition of Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo. This cost me 99 pence, and it's lovely, like almost perfect condition. So I read this in 2019, and it's quite funny. So when I read it, I picked it up because the library had like put a post online to say we've got this new book out, and I just thought it sounded interesting, so I got it out and I was reading it and I was loving it, and I was right towards the end of the book, and then one night I noticed that the Booker Prize ceremony was on telly that night. This is before I really followed the Booker Prize, so I honestly had no idea this was even like long or shortlisted. So I put it on, and obviously this won, and I was like, that's the book I'm reading right now, and it was a pure coincidence. But anyway, I love this. I love Bernardine Evaristo. I've only read a couple. I've read like 3 of her books. I need to read more, but I love her. She's amazing, and I'll probably maybe reread this one next year. And then this is very exciting. So this copy is a little bit beat up, but that's fine. This is possibly my favourite book of all time. You've definitely heard me mention it before. It's Affinity by Sarah Waters. So this is a little bit beat up. It does have the annoying sticker, which I need to try and get off. Does anyone know how to get these off? Let me know. Pleasingly, it matches the edition of Fingersmith that I have, also secondhand. I love Affinity. It's so good. It's my favourite. I just love it. I'm very happy that I have this now on my bookshelf. Okay, so those are my charity shop books. Next, I have a load of books that I've got in my book subscription box over the last few months. I'll link below to the website in case anyone's in the UK and wants to like check them out. But they send out second-hand books. You can send them a link to your Goodreads or your Storygraph so they can see what you've read before. And you can like pick what genre you want and also how many books you want. So I usually get 2 books a month, and the genres, well, or categories that I tend to go for are modern classics and world literature. So first we have How to Be Both by Ali Smith. Now I have read Ali Smith before, but several years ago. I've read The Accidental and There But For There, and then I think at that point I sort of figured that Ali Smith was maybe not quite for me. She was just a bit too, I don't know, bit too experimental, or I just didn't quite get on as well with her books. But I remember this book coming out because it has 2 timelines, and I don't really know that much about them other than they are apparently 6 centuries apart. But when the book was published, half of the copies were published with the first like person A, their narrative in the first half of the book, and then person B in the second half, and then the other sort of half of the copies that were published had person B in the first half of the book, followed by person A. And so I think that's kind of an interesting idea in that, depending on which one you get first in your copy, influences your reading of the book as a whole. Although I would say it maybe is only interesting if you are then going to be able to have a discussion with someone who has read the book the other way around, so you can then understand how it has impacted on your reading. But yeah, I will give this a go. And I was in Waterstones the other day, and I'm sure I saw this on the LGBTQ table, and I hadn't realised that it was. But that makes me even more interested to read it. Okay, next we have Paris Echo by Sebastian Faulks. I've never read anything by Sebastian Faulks. I don't know why. And in this book, so this is a book that I don't really know anything about. It's about an American academic, Hannah, and a runaway Moroccan teenager, Tariq. They have little in common, yet both find themselves haunted by the ghosts of Paris. The extraordinary witness of women living under the German occupation. It asks how much we really need to know in order to live a valuable life. But yeah, interested to try some Sebastian Faulks. Then I have a book that I have read before, but many, many years ago, which is why I haven't marked it on Storygraph. And it's Wilderness Tips by Margaret Atwood. So I did go through a phase a while ago of reading a lot of Margaret Atwood. I haven't really for some time now. But this is short stories. So even though I've read it before, I don't remember anything about it. And I do quite like short stories, so I will sort of dip in and out of this one. Next, another one I've not heard of. This is Amongst Women by John McGahern. This is described as a masterpiece by John Banville. Moran is an old Republican whose life was forever transformed by his days of glory as a guerrilla leader in the War of Independence. Now, in his old age, living out in the country, Moran is still fighting with his family, his friends, even himself, in a poignant struggle to come to terms with the past. Hilary Mantel says, one of the greatest writers of our era. This is an Irish novel. Interesting. Then we have Rabbit Run by John Updike. So I have heard of this. This is the first in a series, isn't it? I'm not really a fan of series. And it's about Harry Rabbit Armstrong, a one-time high school sports superstar, but he's now at 26 going nowhere. Stuck with a fragile alcoholic wife, a house full of overflowing ashtrays and discarded glasses, a young son and a futile job. He flees his family and his home in Pennsylvania, beginning a 1,000-mile journey he hopes will free him from his mediocre life. I feel like this main character sounds quite annoying, even just from the blurb. I don't know if it's someone who we are meant to find annoying or if we're meant to sympathise with him, but just from that, I feel like he's going to be annoying. But I'll give it a go. Next, we have Gate of the Sun by Elias Khoury. So this sounds interesting. This is quite a big book. How long is this? It's like just short of, it's 500 pages. 501 pages to be exact. It's got quite small writing as well. This sounds interesting. So it's set in a makeshift hospital in a refugee camp on the outskirts of Beirut. An ageing Palestinian freedom fighter lies in a coma, and he's being cared for by Dr. Khalil. And as the doctor is sort of caring for the patient, he tells him stories of people's exile in Lebanon. So it says, interweaving many true life tales collected throughout Lebanon and its refugee camp over the course of 7 years, Elias Khoury, the author, has created a monumental and spellbinding saga. So the word saga absolutely puts me off because it's like my worst nightmare. But the fact that it's interweaving lots of different stories sounds like it might be my kind of thing, so I am interested in that. Then we have A Woman Is No Man by Etaf Rum. So this is a dual timeline, sort of 2 time periods. So we've got Palestine in 1990, 17-year-old Isra prefers reading books to entertaining the suitors her father has chosen for her. Then she finds herself betrothed and married and living in Brooklyn and trying to deal with her sort of the family she has acquired since marrying there and the pressures from them. And then the second timeline is in Brooklyn in 2008, and it's 18-year-old Dea, who's Isra's oldest daughter. And she is being encouraged by her grandmother to meet potential husbands, but all she wants to do is go to college. And it says Dea will find herself on an unexpected path that leads her to shocking truths about her family. Sounds good. And then the final book I have is probably the one that I'm most intrigued by out of all of these books. Another one I hadn't heard of before. It's A Brief Stay with the Living by Maurier. Darrieussecq. I've almost certainly pronounced that wrong. This is a French novel, and it's got a very short blurb. So it tells the story of a single day in the life of a mother and her 3 grown-up daughters. Now scattered between the south of France and Buenos Aires, all 4 women are still connected by an incident from their past, a terrible event that the story gradually reveals. it sounds really interesting, and it looks like it's told from various different perspectives, but the perspectives seem to change. Oh, there's a little picture in there. The perspectives seem to change like a few pages each, so it might jump around quite a lot, but I'm definitely intrigued by this. Scotland on Sunday says it's a novel that bears resemblance to the best of Virginia Woolf. I haven't read any Virginia Woolf, but I did DNF Mrs. Dalloway earlier this year, so I don't know if that's a good sign. The Irish Times says it's the most exciting French literary voice currently at work. 1,000 times more inventive than any British writer of her generation. So there you go. Let me know if you've heard of that. So yes, those are all my books. I don't know where I'm going to put them. I need another bookshelf, but we haven't got any space. So yeah. But yeah, I'm very, very excited about all of these books. So there probably isn't going to be another book haul until December, because I'm saving up all my monthly subscription boxes to put together for a 12-day book advent calendar. So once I've unboxed that, then there will be a video at the end of December with that little book haul. So there we go. Let me know if you've read any of these and what you thought of them, if there's any you think I should prioritise. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Bye.